Welcome to today's video about measuring using fractions and quilting rulers. I hope you find this video helpful. Feel free to leave any comments with any questions that you may have or any further information that you would like to have. So here I have some grunge fabric. You can see like the different colors in here. It's kind of a grungy effect. That I found in my stash. Who knows where I got this from? Probably like a garage sale or estate sale or something. I went through a phase where I was collecting a lot of fabric, but now my crafting room is kind of really full. I probably need to declutter one day, but that's something to worry about at another time. Not worried about that right now. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my go-to ruler right here, this one, which is one I tend to use a lot. That's why the lines are fading. And so remember that I said each one of these squares is 1 inch. Well, on your cutting mat, each one of these squares are also 1 inch. And a lot of cutting mats will have the numbers along the top. I never line up my fabric to the 1 and start at the 1. I just randomly kind of pick a spot in the middle and then do my math from there. Also, if you're always cutting in the same place, you're going to wear out your mat a lot faster. And one tip that you might find helpful is I got a giant cutting mat underneath my cutting mat. You know, one of those cooking ones. To protect my table underneath, because sometimes when those blades wear out, I have had the experience of cutting through my cutting mat, and you definitely don't want to ruin your tables. So here we go. Let's go ahead and talk about some measurements. So looking at this is 1 inch. And one of the things you want to do whenever you start sewing is you want to go ahead and start with a nice straight line. And so what you're going to do is cut off some of that remnant or the not so beautiful side of your fabric, and just use your cutter and then cut away. And sometimes it's also called squaring off. And so now I have a nice straight line without all that extra fuzz on the end. But right here we go. This is 1 inch. So right here you can see the 1 inch. Then here we go. We have 2 inches. And you can see where the ruler and the mat line up. And then here we have 3 inches. A ½ inch is half of the 1 inch, and it would be, you go to line 2, 1, 2. So that second line right here is ½ inch, okay? ½ inch plus another ½ inch equals 1 inch. Now, if you go to that very first line, right here, that first line, see how many we have? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here was the ½ inch mark, right? And 2 halves equal 1. Well, that first one, just that one is 1/4 inch, which is also called a 1/4 inch, and it would look like this. So that is a 1/4 inch. Very tiny piece, 1/4 inch, which is also referred to as a seam allowance. It's the common measurement used when sewing. So most patterns include the seam allowance in the measurements, because once you sew the fabric together, that's about how much you lose in your sewing journey. Okay, so if I have 1/4 or 1/4 plus another 1/4, okay, then I have 2 quarters. So here's 2 quarters, and 2 quarters is also equal to 1/2 of an inch. If I add another quarter, then I have 3/4 of an inch. So 3/4 of an inch. And then if I go 4/4, 4/4, 4/4 is equal to 1 inch. If I have 1 inch and a quarter, it would look like this. So 1 1/4, 1 1/4 would look like that. To measure 7/8 of an inch in quilting, you have to use a quilting ruler and locate the lines marked with 7/8 of the ruler. So 7/8 is a little trickier. So this is probably not the recommended ruler for 7/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you one of my other rulers. That's when I go to my handy dandy square one right here. There you go, my Omni Grid ruler. So good brand. But here you can see the markings a little bit better. And let's look at that one, right? So right here, earlier we had the 1st quarter, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4, right? Well, in between those quarters is another shorter line, okay? So here is 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. So 8/8 is 1 inch. So if I wanted to cut 7/8 of an inch, it would look like this. So it's just 1 notch away from being 1 full inch, okay? So it would just be slightly shorter than an inch. So the lines represent a measurement of 7/8 of an inch, which is just 1/8 of an inch less than a full inch. Most quilting rulers have clear markings for functions of an inch, including 7/8 inch. So you can clearly see the 7/8 marking right here. I mean, it doesn't say 7/8, but it is like the 7th notch right there. All right, so that's 7/8. And let's talk about rulers. I think I already talked about rulers. So many quilting rulers are used for a variety of steps, from cutting fabric pieces to checking seam allowances. There's also non-slip rulers that you can get like some sticky stuff on so it doesn't slip around all over on you. And some people like to use a handy tool for quilting, as it makes it easier to measure fabric according to without the fabric sliding. Often quilters use gridded rulers like this, or cutting mats like this right here, so that they can measure the width and the height of a piece at once. So having these two tools are definitely very important, and I use my rulers a lot, like all the time. A lot. So investing in some good rulers, if you haven't already, I would definitely do that, okay? I just tried to adjust the lighting so I wouldn't have the glare of that white circle. I'll try to work on that and see if there's a better way to get lighting in here. But let's move on to, what is it? 3/16 of an inch. So that's even trickier. So as we saw here, we have the notches. So this here is an inch, right? Here we go, 1 inch, right? And then here, this is a half an inch. And then this one is 1/4 inch, right? Then if you go even smaller, that is 1/8 of an inch. Or, well, sorry, that was 1/4 of an inch, but then even smaller than 1/4 of an inch in between. Let's pretend there's notches in between these notches. 1/8 is even smaller. So the 1/16 is even smaller. So each one of these, let's count how many lines there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So 16ths would be in between these lines. So let's pretend there's another line in between these other lines right here, okay? So here we go. We'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, okay? So I actually have a block that I need to work on that is asking for a measurement of 4. Actually, let's do the, I'm gonna go ahead and cut some measurements. So I have 3 pieces of fabric, and so on this dark fabric, this grungy like fabric, maroon fabric I need to cut 2.5. So I need a 2.5 inch square, and I'm going to go back to this ruler because I don't need those in between lines. So I like to go with this ruler because it's long and skinny and doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's just easier for me to move around. So here we go. We're going to do 2.5, which is an easy measurement. So here we go. 1, 2, and then right here is the half mark and half mark. Okay, so here I have it at 2.5. Get my cutter, and voila. And I just want a 2.5 inch square. So now I'm going to line it up over here. 1, 2, 2.5. Here we go. All right, so this is my 2.5 inch block, okay? Then out of a medium colored fabric, I need a light color. And let's go with a square. It wants 3 3/16. I mean, some of these measurements sometimes you're like, why in the world? Like, why does it have to be that crazy measurement? But they do, they show up, and you don't want to mess up the pattern. And if you want it to look nice, you're going to follow along. And so here we go. I have some light turquoise fabric or whatever this is called, and we're going to cut a 3 3/16 inch. Feel like it's a tongue twister. Blah 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 blah. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. You can see, like, this is the original edging here, and you can tell it has little dots and everything. We want to get rid of that edging there. And what we're going to call is squaring up the fabric. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and cut off that inch away and add it to a scrap pile. Okay, so now we're ready to cut the 3 inches and 3/16. Okay, so here we go. 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, and then comes the 16ths. All right, we want to use that square ruler again so you can see it. Here we go. The only thing is, what about that square ruler is it's not as long. So that's why I like to go to the other one. All right, so here we go. 16ths, 3 16. So remember earlier when I said you kind of have to eyeball it and pretend that there's an imaginary line in between the lines that are already here. So we know that 1 inch is the 16 over 16, right? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. So the 3/16 would be right here in between that first line and that second line. So 1, 2, 3, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we're going to go cut away 1, 2, 3. So right here, it would line up right here. So here's where we have the 3 and 3/16. And I'm going to just eyeball it for the here for right now. I could have just used my bigger ruler, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut it right here. All right, so here we go. And I need to replace my blade because this shouldn't be happening. So there's my tan, and I need to square it now. Not tan, what did I say? Turquoise, light turquoise. All right. So here we go. We got a little bit of scrappy fabric at the end here we want to get rid of. So now we're going to do 3 and 3/16 again. 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 3. Right in between these two lines. There we go. All right. So there's the 3 and 3/16. So here I have 2.5, 3 and 3/16. And then my next square I need is of a medium color. And for that one, I'm going to need 4 and 7/8. So I'm using, this is an actual pattern directions that I'm following for a block that I'm going to be working on called a center medallion for a quilt challenge I've been working on for the last several years. I don't know if I'll ever finish it because it's entailed of mostly a whole bunch of 3 and 4 inch squares. But I started it and one day I'll finish it. But I've done the center medallion a couple of times. I just haven't been happy with the color and outlay of it. So I want to redo it again until it's exactly what I want it to be, because it's the center of a quilt that I'm working on and I really want it to pop. And I like this glittery fabric. Some people hate glittery fabric, but I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess fabric here at the end. And don't worry, all these little scraps, you can recycle them into other projects or use them for tying up stuff. All right, so here we go. Our measurement that we're looking for is 4 and 7/8. I'm gonna go ahead and use this big ruler just for the purpose of this video, but here we go. Okay, I want to make sure it lines up. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and now we're going to do 7/8, okay? So we're looking for these notches. We're actually going to look at the notches that are on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's the 7. And then you want to make sure it measures up on the bottom the same, so that you have a straight line. So here is 4 and 7/8. I don't remember where I bought this glittery fabric at. Maybe it was Hobby Lobby. Maybe, I don't know. We don't have too many options here where I live. All right, I'm gonna use the smaller ruler now that it's smaller. I'm gonna use a small one. I think that'll work. Yeah, it's close enough. All right, so we want to go ahead and cut off this edging here. And now we're going to do 4 and 7/8 again. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, 4 and 1/8, 4 and 2/8, 4 and 3/8, 4 and 4/8, 4 and 5/8, 4 and 6/8, 4 and 7/8. So here we go. And I'm kind of eyeballing it. Oops, there we go. All right, so that's 4 and 7/8, okay? So yes, these measurements really are used in the quilting world. Thank you for watching. You guys have a wonderful day and see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have some new subscribers. All right, talk to you later. Bye.